Welcome back to another episode of the Web3 Big Bite podcast. This is the podcast where we jam to the latest beat in a decentralized world and chat with some of the brilliant minds in the industry. On today's episode, we are taking the artificial intelligence, a route that's familiar with most of you listening to this episode. But the question is, how much do you know about artificial intelligence? Save all your questions because today we are going to answer them all. Our guest on today's episode is ready to answer all your burning questions about AI. But before we dive right in, let's meet our guest. Our guest is a true pioneer when it comes to AI. I mean, long before AI became a household term, before AI became cool, he explored how it could enhance human creativity. He has been on the cutting edge of artificial intelligence for over 25 years. As both a computer scientist and patent attorney, he is an expert on how AI can supercharge innovation. Back in 2009, guys, his book, The Genie in the Machine, examined how AI could be used to dream up new inventions. And today, he helps clients patent groundbreaking AI technologies, as well as novel ideas generated by AI itself. He's passionate about collaborating with smart machines rather than competing against them. In his view, AI is not a threat. It's a creative force that can help make us all more productive. And I personally cannot wait to pick his brain on how we can unlock AI's inventive superpowers. So guys, ladies and gentlemen, meet to Robert Plotkin. Hi Robert, it's so great to have you on the show today. How are you doing?
Oh, thanks so much. Thanks for having me, Olabisi. Really, I'm always excited to talk about this topic.
That's great. I mean, today we're going to talk about AI and more AI and more AI. But before we get into that, we would like you to tell us a bit about you.
Yeah, like you said, I've been working with and fascinated by AI for many, many years. I started programming computers back when I was a kid in the early 1980s, writing programs in BASIC and C and so forth. And I went to college at MIT, studied computer science there. And started learning about AI way back then, the early days of neural networks and on. And then I decided to become a lawyer, a patent lawyer, where ever since then, for over 25 years, I've been helping inventors and companies obtain patent protection for new kinds of software, including new kinds of AI. And back, a little bit after 2000, I started learning about how AI could help inventors to invent more quickly and easily, and how AI was even starting to automate parts of the inventive process to generate designs for new circuits and airplane wings, and even AI that could write software. And I became fascinated with the question of, could you obtain a patent on an invention that was generated using AI? And that's what led to my book. So, there was a long period of time when people were not that interested in AI because it really wasn't powerful enough to solve a lot of real world problems. And then probably late 2017, 2018, deep learning came around. And then, of course, once ChatGPT was released just a little under a year ago, everyone started paying attention to AI, because that was a form in which the average person could make use of AI to ask questions, give instructions, and get what are often just amazing results back. And that's unleashed an incredible flurry of creativity and innovation and disruption as people are exploring how to use AI, especially in the form of large language models, to do things like write all kinds of text, create videos, audio, do voiceovers in your field in marketing, in my field, the law. And I think we're just at the start of this, and I'll stop there. But as you said, the thing I'm particularly interested in is, how can we as humans see AI as a tool that can either assist us or that we can collaborate with in order to get our work done more efficiently and effectively, or to help us be creative and create new things in ways that we never could before on our own.
That was amazing. And from your brief introduction, you have quite the experience, extensive experience. I mean, you've been in AI way before AI became cool. That's bragging rights.
Yeah, yeah.
Different. All right, Robert, let's talk about your book. Your book on AI's impact on patents came out over 10 years ago. So how has the AI landscape differed from your predictions?
I'll say one major way in which it's been the same as my prediction, and one way in which it's been different. The way in which it's been the same is that I call the book "The Genie in the Machine" because I was describing AI as a kind of tool that humans could give instructions to in a language that the AI could understand. And so that humans could say, I want to solve a certain type of problem. I want to create a new type of car engine or circuit, but I don't know how. I don't know what the details of that should be, and then leave it to the AI to fill in the details. So I analogize that to giving a wish, a high-level wish to a genie who could then grant the wish. And so that has turned out to be still a good description of how something like ChatGPT feels from our perspective as humans using it. It feels like we can give it a high-level description, and let's say in marketing, of an ad we want to create or of the target market we want to reach, without providing the specific details like the wording we want to use, and then leave it to the AI to flesh out the details. So I think that metaphor of the genie and the wish still holds up. The thing that I hadn't thought would come around this quickly was the ability to really give instructions to something like a ChatGPT in a very natural human language and get answers out in very natural sounding human language. At the time I wrote my book, it was still necessary to write what I was calling wishes in very technical language. You needed to be a computer scientist or an engineer to get AI to do what you wanted it to do. And that's really changed a lot now because of the ability of large language models to take natural language input and give natural language output. That's why they are so exciting, and why, if they've taken the world by storm over the last year.
Awesome. I mean, Genie in the Machine sounds like a cool Hollywood sci-fi. So can we say ChatGPT is the genie in the machine, or should we keep waiting for our AI genie?
It is the beginning, I think. It's a really good example. I think OpenAI did a great job of creating a demonstration type product in the form of ChatGPT that could really showcase the potential power of large language models. But as we know, many other large companies are putting an incredible amount of time and money and effort into advancing the field. And it seems like nearly every day there are just incredible advancements and announcements. I'm sure you know that just in the last week, there's been announcements about the ability to speak to ChatGPT using your voice, to provide images to it and ask questions about images. We know that the ability of tools like Midjourney and Stable Diffusion, and then now DALL-E 3 to generate high quality images based on text is just improving all the time. So I think ChatGPT is an example of the genie in the machine, but we're only going to see that paradigm of being able to provide instructions or requests to AI where we ask for the result we want, or the goal, I should say, the goal we're trying to achieve, and let the AI figure out at least some possible ways to achieve that goal for us. It's just going to get better, faster, and more effective over time.
Yeah, but I also read recently too that ChatGPT has been updated to include recent information from 2023 because while I was using it say a couple of months ago, it told me that I had limited information. Just 2021, anything after 2021, it doesn't have any information. But then recently, I read that now you can get recent information as recent as 2023. That's a welcome development that I'm particularly excited about because ChatGPT has been quite helpful in assisting me as a marketing person. And thanks for letting us know that Genie in the Machine is already here with us. And should we expect more genies soon?
Yeah. I mean, I know that many researchers and companies have been leveraging not just large language models, but other types of AI to produce products and services that are targeted at particular industries. Yours of marketing is one, mine of law is another, because ChatGPT, as incredible as it is, it's very generic. And it doesn't necessarily do the best job for specific fields like marketing, law, medicine, engineering, education, on and on. So people are very hard at work to develop, whether it be separate domain-specific language models or software applications that are targeted specifically at those particular fields. And no one really knows, I think it's an open question, whether the generic large language models like GPT will continue to outperform specific applications, or whether some of these specific applications out there will end up doing better. We'll just have to see as it develops. I know in my own field we have privacy and confidentiality concerns. Lawyers can't allow the information they provide to a large language model to be made public. I'm curious to know if people in your field have similar types of concerns or needs maybe that aren't being addressed by ChatGPT, but I know that the market and companies are paying attention to all of this to rapidly develop tools that are specific to the needs of people in different industries. And we're going to see a lot more of that over the coming year.
Yes, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed on that. So now let's talk about your career journey as a patent attorney in AI. You have over 25 plus years experience working in AI as a patent attorney. So what are the most exciting or concerning AI innovations you've seen through your patent work?
Well, I'd say exciting are the ones in the field of medicine. AI that can do things like interpret radiology images, X-ray, CAT scan, MRIs, to do things like detect cancerous tumors earlier than would have been possible otherwise. AI that can help develop drugs more quickly or effectively than before. AI that can assist with personalized medicine to look at your own medical history and give advice or recommendations, or perhaps even assist with diagnoses based on your own particular medical data. The use of AI in medicine and healthcare is advancing very rapidly, and obviously, the better job it can do, the better it can help humanity. And I've been seeing a lot of that recently in the last couple of years in my own work as a patent attorney, and it's very satisfying for me, to work on patents for inventions that can really help improve health around the world.
Yes, thanks for sharing that with us. And I'm also positive about the future of AI. And I know aside the medical industry and other industries too, there are also awesome things, other industries that we are not even aware of that I'm sure will pop up someday with how AI is moving fast right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, so we would like to get some advice from you. And because on my podcast, I like to give advice a lot, and I also like my guests to give advice a lot. So, what advice will you give aspiring AI entrepreneurs or inventors who want to protect their intellectual property? Because I know you've done this a lot. You've helped people protect their intellectual property a lot. So, what advice will you give to someone who wants to go through that path and then they're seeking for legal advice on how they can protect their intellectual property?
Yeah. I mean, the first thing is to seek out a lawyer who is experienced in the field, because it's not intellectual property for AI is not something that a lot of people are very familiar with. And it's very easy to inadvertently forfeit your legal rights if you don't take the right steps, if you don't do it in time. You could easily miss deadlines for protecting yourself. I mean, if you're talking about people who are developing new types of AI technology, new algorithms, new apps for AI, those are things that could become very valuable for a wide range of applications. And it would be really to someone's benefit to speak to a patent attorney about how to obtain patent protection for that. And for, lots of AI now, as I gave the example in AI that can develop drugs, sometimes it can be used to help develop other inventions like a drug that can be patented itself. So, a patent on a drug isn't a patent on AI. It's a patent on something that was generated with the assistance of AI. And so you need to look into the possibility of obtaining a patent both on the AI technology you're developing and on the inventions that it can help you create. It can get quite complex. And for all of those, I'd suggest speaking to a competent attorney. And the other thing is, I'm sure you're aware, people are using AI now to create all kinds of content, right? It's not just inventions, it's blog posts, it's scripts for podcasts and videos, and it's videos themselves. So, you need to look into two things. One is you got to make sure that anything you create isn't infringing someone else's copyright. You might be aware already that there's some big lawsuits against OpenAI now by large copyright owners who are claiming that OpenAI, by creating ChatGPT, engaged in massive copyright infringement, and that hasn't been decided by any courts yet, so we'll have to pay attention. So anyone who's using AI to create artwork, as an example, you got to be very careful that if you then post that artwork or article, that you're not doing it in a way that infringes anyone else's copyright. So, for all those reasons, it's good to get yourself educated. And if you're going to do something, particularly on a large scale, to get some advice from a qualified, competent lawyer.
Okay, so there you have it, guys. If you are an entrepreneur thinking of starting something in the AI space, now you know how to go about it, and also be careful so you don't get a huge lawsuit. I mean, OpenAI can afford the lawsuit, but I doubt if someone was starting up with to afford the huge lawsuit. So be careful and also do more research and also learn on what you should do and what you should not do. So thanks, Robert, for that valuable advice. I mean, anyone who's listening to this, even the host, Olabisi, I might want to go through the AI route. And this advice really came in handy. Thank you so much for that. So let's talk about AI and marketing. You have a PR and marketing firm. So I would like to get first and info on how exactly does AI influence human creativity in fields like marketing? Can it enhance or does it replace it? I mean, there's the debate online that AI is here to take away jobs, is here to make people dumber. But what do you think about it? Do you think it's here to enhance it or totally replace it?
Yeah, I think that it's absolutely a creativity enhancer, and I agree with many people who are saying now that your job is not going to be replaced by AI. It's going to be replaced by a human who uses AI. So if you don't want your own job to be replaced, you need to become a human who learns how to take maximum advantage of AI, which means you need to learn how to use AI, you need to learn what skills you need to work on to become better at using AI to enhance your own creativity. And that's why I said at the very beginning, I like to see AI as a tool or as even a partner, someone you're collaborating with to help you brainstorm ideas, help you come up with drafts of marketing documents, marketing strategies even, but that then you review and revise, and then that you may then feed back what you revised back into the AI, and then go back and forth with it like you would do with another human, but much more quickly, I find. I'll just give a few pointers. One is that because you can give an idea to AI, let's say you're going to start a new marketing campaign and you're not sure who the target market is, who's the target audience for this. You can ask ChatGPT as an example, and there's other apps out there that are specifically designed for marketers, but you can ask it to help you brainstorm potential target markets. And then you might try out some ideas for each of those target markets. Now, before something like ChatGPT existed, you might think very carefully before you started writing a bunch of, let's say, blog posts for different markets, because it was so time consuming. You wouldn't want to put all of your effort into trying out different things that were going to take a lot of time. But when the time and cost of trying out different approaches is so low because of AI, it enables you, it makes it possible or affordable to actually try out lots of different approaches quickly, because something like ChatGPT can generate drafts that you can just throw them away if they're not any good. Whereas if you had to create those manually before, you wouldn't be so willing to put the time and investment in. So I see it as something that encourages a very improvisational, experimental style of creating marketing campaigns, strategies, and marketing content that wasn't really feasible for an individual or small company without a lot of resources before. So I'll stop after say one more thing, which is you can say this can help level the playing field. It can help make an individual marketer have the effective resources of a larger company because of this ability to leverage AI to try out things, create a much larger volume of content than would have been possible manually by yourself. Does that make sense?
Oh, yes, it does. And I would like to ask a follow-up question on using AI for marketing campaigns.
Yeah.
So, why do you see the biggest opportunities for AI augmentation when it comes to developing marketing campaigns? And how do you think it can help marketers be more effective?
Well, I mentioned identifying the target market. In marketing, like in anything else, you are most effective when you understand who it is that you're speaking to, what their needs, hopes, fears, concerns, desires, dreams are, and when you speak directly to that person based on who they are, right? And that's true in law, it's true in marketing, it's true in any kind of communication. You understand the language of the person you're speaking to. And one of the challenges in marketing traditionally is to do it on a large scale. It's very hard to simultaneously market on a large scale and speak to individual people in a way that addresses their own concerns as individuals, right? Those two things are very much in conflict or in tension with each other. trying to talk to 1 million people on a mass scale, but individually, and those people differ from each other. How can you do that? So clearly, ever since the web started, 30 years ago, it's become possible to reach a larger number of people, and at a lower cost. So that's helped marketers. To a certain extent, the web and web-based tools and computer technology has helped marketers gather more information about individual people, or even at least groups of people. But it's still been a challenge in then creating messages and content that are individualized because of the time and effort that it takes. Well, now something like large language models can help to bridge that gap, where you can combine all of your knowledge and data about people almost down to the individual level, and help you craft messages that speak to people down to that individual level, because the cost of content creation of that can be tailored and personalized is being driven down so low.
Yes. So that will inspire my next question. So what recommendations will you give marketers for utilizing AI tools to assist with brainstorming and ideation?
Yeah, it's really such a great tool for that. And this is one of the ways in which it makes clear the AI will not replace people. One of the hardest things for any creative person is just getting the creative process started, getting the content creation process started. As a writer, people talk about it as you're staring at the blank page. How do you get started? Or maybe you come up with one idea, and it's hard and takes time to come up with multiple different approaches you may want to try out. Large language model based tools are really good at you can ask something like ChatGPT, again, or any of the other LLM based tools out there, like Jasper is a very popular one. Come up with 20 different titles for an article on this topic. Come up with introductory paragraphs. Come up with topics that address, come up with ways of addressing a certain topic addressed to the following 20 different audiences. Or come up with an introductory paragraph on this topic written in 5 different tones. You can vary. You can ask it to vary so many different dimensions of what you want to do, and then see what it comes up with. Not because you're going to necessarily use everything it comes up with, but that'll help give you some broader perspective on what your options are. So much more quickly than if you had to do that on your own. And, I find that when I use LLM-based tools for things like this, sometimes I throw out 90% of what it comes up with, but it's still very valuable, because the 10% that I keep, I got it much more quickly I would have been able to on my own. And then I can revise it, based on my own knowledge and skill and understanding of who I'm trying to speak to. And then I'll ask the tool for some additional feedback on what I've revised. And we'll go back and forth in that kind of fast, iterative process in a way that just wouldn't have been possible either on my own, or, to be honest, with another human who couldn't work that quickly.
Yeah. So I agree with you. And personally, AI has been really helpful in helping me with my brainstorming session too. I mean, it has literally made it so easy for me. Unlike before, I heard of generative AI tools like ChatGPT. It takes me hours to come up with my outline, my plan, how I want my campaign to be. I mean, the idea is there up there, but then to get it down, to turn it into something that it's more presentable, it takes me hours and hours. But now with AI tools, I just write it down. Okay, this is the idea I have in my head. This is what I want the output to be, and it has saved me so much time. It's the perfect assistant who is always willing to help and never complain. Whatever. They never complain, and that's the good thing about it. Even though sometimes it's like it feels generic, but then I think it all lies in the prompts you give them, and if you can find your way around using the right prompts, AI tools are really awesome. I'm talking from the marketing point of view. They are really cool, and like I said, they are the assistants that never complain, and they're always willing to help you. So what's an example of a campaign or project where AI played a major role in your marketing success? I'm actually curious. I want to know about that.
Yeah, I've been putting out a lot of content lately, blog postings, doing webinars, all relating to AI, the impact of AI on innovation and the patent system. And I find that I'll come up with an idea, a very simple idea for something I want to write a blog post about. And in the past, I would have just written that idea down somewhere in a sentence or two. And then I'd get busy and, a long time would pass and I might not ever get back around to that idea. And by the time that I did, I would have forgotten what I was thinking about. And so now my process is when I have that idea, if I can, I'll spend 5 minutes put it into ChatGPT or another tool, ask a bunch of targeted questions and prompts that I developed, and flesh out something that's very, very rough. But it doesn't matter. The point is that while the idea is fresh in my mind, I'll be able to get a bunch of decent content out, again, while I'm thinking of it. And then I'll be able to use that whenever I do have the time, or we do have a PR firm, I'll use that to help convey the basics of the idea to our PR firm. It helps them then do work for us more effectively and efficiently than if I had just given them a sentence or two to work with. And there's one point about this I like to make clear. A tool like ChatGPT doesn't need to produce fantastic content, right? It just has to produce something that's pretty good, that helps you brainstorm, flesh out your ideas in a way that you can record them quickly, so that you can then either you or someone else, or you collaborating with other people or collaborating with other people in AI, can then improve on them. And as long as what it produces is what I call pretty good, it's a huge benefit. It's a huge, huge benefit. And I stress that because, amongst other lawyers, I sometimes hear lawyers complain and say, well, ChatGPT will make mistakes. It will say things that are not accurate. And my response to them is, yeah, that's true. So that's why you need to proofread what it comes up with. And you can't just ask ChatGPT to write something and then publish it without reviewing it. But that also doesn't mean that what it produces has no value. It has incredible, incredible value because of the ability to do a pretty good job really quickly and enable you to iterate with it to produce something much better.
Yes, that's right. And emphasis on proofread, because sometimes I think ChatGPT doesn't want to disappoint the user, and then he just comes up with something, and then you're asking yourself that, okay. And I also think that for anyone who is using ChatGPT, either on any topic or something, you must at least have a little bit of understanding about what you're asking it to do. So in case it comes up with a fiction response, something that's not true, then you know that, oh, are you playing with me right now? This doesn't exist anywhere. So I think if you are using tools like that, at least have a little bit of knowledge about what you are working on, or what you are writing on, or any campaign you are creating with it, or whatever it is you're using it for. So you don't just put it out there. Because some people, they use AI tools like ChatGPT, and then whatever it gives them, they just post it like that. And yeah, we have people on the internet whose job is just to fact check anything that is there. And it can be quite embarrassing when they tell you, this doesn't exist anywhere. Because I read of, was it a lawyer in the US or which country that used ChatGPT to defend someone in court, and then it turns out to be a lie, that something like
Yes.
that. that. I'm like, oh my God. I must have been super embarrassing. Like,
Yeah,
how?
right.
Yeah. Yeah, emphasis on proofread. Always proofread anything generative AI tools like ChatGPT, Claude AI. Claude AI is also one AI tool I really, really like. And other AI tools like that. I mean, we have like a whole lot of them. I check my Twitter, I'm seeing AI tools for marketing, AI tools for this, AI tools for that. Whatever it is you're using them for, they are the perfect assistant that doesn't complain, but always proofread, just like Robert said. Always proofread anything it gets to you. Always save
Yeah.
yourself the embarrassment. That's all. All right, so I would like to get something from your point of view, and that is about the future of AI and creativity in marketing. So, what do you think about the future of AI? I mean, you've already given us Genie in the Machine 10 years ago. So, now I want you to give us another Genie in the Machine now for the next 5 to 10 years. So, what do you think the future of AI and creativity in marketing will be in like a decade or less? Will AI take over more creative roles? I really want to know the answer to this. So, maybe I should start considering another career path.
Well, it's very dangerous to make predictions. So I'll tell you what my hope is, rather than telling you what I predict will actually happen. You know, and I'll tell you what my fear is, because I have a hope and a fear. My hope is that people will use AI responsibly to express themselves clearly, in ways that relate to their audience, as human beings. And that does require doing all the kinds of things we talked about, not just using AI to generate stuff on its own that then gets pushed out. And I think that if you use AI wisely and responsibly, it could actually result in a future where marketing, to the people on the receiving end, potential customers and actual customers of businesses, who that businesses market to their actual and potential customers, where it will feel and actually be a more human experience as a result of the ability to speak to people individually based on who they are and what their real needs are. And so it may seem strange to think that by using a kind of automated technology, it'll be possible to make marketing communications and campaigns more human. But I don't think it's really a contradiction. It's because, look, we started before the Industrial Revolution and before automation, where everything was human, because people were just communicating with each other one-on-one directly, right? And so, of course, the communication was very individual, and very human. And then we developed all kinds of automation, first in manufacturing, and then in communication, and through broadcast media like radio and television and print, where everyone who bought a newspaper, everyone who turned on a television channel, were all getting the same message, millions of people getting the same message. So that could feel very impersonal. And from the marketer's point of view, is very hard to do anything other than that, because the technology and the medium really only lets you broadcast one message to a large number of people, and it gave you very limited information about the people you were trying to reach. And so I think AI has the promise of enabling us to come back full circle to that kind of personal communication that is truly personal from the marketer's point of view, and that it reaches the person on the other end, and hits them and resonates with them in a personal way. That's my hope. My fear is that people will just use AI to churn out automated content, that's robot-like, and just targeted to try to sell the most stuff to the most people. And as a result, it's not human, it's not personal. And, ultimately it'll be self-defeating, because although you can kind of fool people for a short amount of time with that kind of marketing, eventually I think people catch on, and then it causes them to turn off and tune out from the messages they're receiving. So I hope it doesn't go in that direction. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I know that there's already quite a bit of that going on now, but we're still in the very early days of AI enhanced marketing, and I hope that that's short-lived so that we can really use the technology in a way that is more human.
Right. And to also add, I know for every great innovation, there's always the good and bad side. And we can only hope that AI is being used responsibly. I know that's a long shot, but I'm being hopeful. Like, I'm seriously being hopeful.
Yeah.
Our listeners have been listening to you dishing out advice, giving us tips and recommendations. So what should listeners who are listening to you right now who are intrigued by AI's marketing application, what should they focus on or study if they want to utilize these tools effectively? Are there any key skills?
Yeah, I would think that the low-hanging fruit, if you want to get the most benefit for the least effort, is to learn a little bit about what's called prompt engineering, which is how to write good prompts for tools like ChatGPT. Search for it online. There's a lot of good online guides for prompt engineering. It really just involves learning a little bit about what kinds of instructions or questions a tool like ChatGPT can respond most effectively to, how to word your prompts in the right way, what things to avoid saying. And some of them you might be able to figure out on your own, but other ones are a bit surprising. It's been very widely confirmed that when you talk to ChatGPT, especially if you're going to ask it to do something like help you develop a strategy or a campaign, to say to it in your prompt, work with me step by step. There's something about that phrase, step by step, that encourages ChatGPT to walk you through what it's doing rather than just dump an answer on you. And so you can find guides on prompt engineering, and that's why I said with just a little bit of reading and practice, you can improve the effectiveness of what you're doing with the tools. The next thing I would say is look into and evaluate some of the more marketing specific tools out there. I mentioned Jasper because I think it's the most widely used now, but there's many of them depending on what you're trying to do, whether it's create blog posts or videos or do strategy or do market research. And so look into going beyond a generic tool like ChatGPT to something that is more specific to the kinds of tasks that you are focused on. I think those are the two biggest things, beyond starting to learn more technical skills involved in developing your own AI-related apps, which is going to be beyond the reach and interest of most people. But this is one of the things that makes this time most exciting, is that you don't need to be a programmer or a software developer or an engineer necessarily to take advantage of most of what's out there.
Thank you so much. I mean, I wrote down immediately you mentioned the prompt of using walk me step by step. I wrote it down immediately because I knew it's really going to come in handy. And I hope you listening to this, you also wrote that down because your host actually did write it down because it's going to come in handy.
Yeah.
So you've heard from Robert himself on key skills you need to learn if you want to utilize these AI tools perfectly and how you should do them. And always remember, guys, don't copy whatever outputs that you get from these tools word for word. Always proofread them and be sure that you're getting the right thing from them. And I would also like to ask you for what advice will you give to someone who wants to pursue an active career in AI, either as a patent attorney like you or as an innovator?
Yeah. If you want to be an innovator, obviously you need to learn the basics of how the underlying technology works. In the case of large language models, that would be things like neural networks and deep learning. And another thing that's so amazing about the time we're living in now is there are so many free and low-cost resources available for learning about those topics, free courses available online, where you can learn a lot of the basics. But the second thing is you have to be aware of how quickly everything is developing. And so the pace of innovation in AI right now is so rapid if you're going to, let's say, want to develop your own AI-based app, you have to plan to build it in a way that's not too rigid so that it doesn't become obsolete extremely quickly. The clients I work with, most of them are building their tools, let's say, to use a GPT as a language model, but to be capable of switching to a different language model if another language model comes available in a few months that's better than GPT. So that's just one example. You need to build your technology in a way that's extremely flexible so that it just doesn't become obsolete, because even the biggest companies in the world now are being leapfrogged over. I know Google just announced pretty recently that they're going to be releasing their own language model called Gemini that they claim is going to be better than GPT-4, which was OpenAI's best language model so far. And again, nearly every week, if not every day, the Googles and Microsofts and OpenAIs and Metas and Amazons of the world are coming out with new announcements that beat their competitor from the week before. So that's probably my biggest piece of advice. If you're getting into this field as an individual entrepreneur or you want to build a small technology company, build it to assume that the technology is going to increase significantly and rapidly in the near future.
Right. Thank you so much for the advice and tips. So for anyone who wants to pursue a career in the AI industry, either as a patent attorney or as an innovator, now you know what to do. And also take out time to do adequate research. I'm rooting for you, and I hope we get to see more AI innovators and patent attorneys in the future. And that wraps up today's episode of the Web3 Feedback Podcast. Big thanks to our guest. Big thanks, huge thanks to our guest for sharing his invaluable artificial intelligence knowledge with us. We hope you enjoyed the discussion. And if you have any feedback or questions, please reach out on social media or send us an email at web3quickbites@gmail.com. Thank you so much again to our guests for joining us. And thank you, listeners, for tuning in. We'll be back next week with more exciting content. So be sure to subscribe and tune in. See you guys next week. Bye.